But even if they don't get all the things within those 12 years, hopefully we are raising lifelong learners, and there's still so much for them to learn and read and enjoy once they graduate high school. Hi, I'm Ashley. I know you usually come to YouTube channels at this time of year to look for homeschool curriculum. What have we picked? And I love sharing what I've picked. But I decided in this video to kind of give you a look into how and why I pick what I pick before I do an actual announcement. I just think it's helpful when other homeschool moms share their processing. And that's all I've been thinking about the last several weeks is, okay, what are we going to use next year? So let me share with you how we're going to pick curriculum this year. Welcome, by the way. I'm Ashley. I'm a homeschooling mom to 3 kids. I've been homeschooling since 2013. I'm also a former English teacher. And this is Joyful Noise Learning, where I love to talk about Charlotte Mason inspired homeschool, my curriculum picks, biblically based curriculum, and a little bit sharing of what it's like to be a scattered homeschool mom, easily distracted. The easily distracted homeschool mom. Okay, so I might go into a little bit of detail here. I may not tell you exactly what I'm picking, but I might share that for some of the subjects and some of my kids. But I do want to share the process I think of and how do I start. So one of the first things I think of is like a type of homeschool curriculum. I think of my style, what I do well with, and then I can think of what my kids, what their style is and what they do well with. And what I've noticed is with myself, I have a pattern. I know what I do well with, I know what I don't do well with, and it's kind of the same. But with my kids, they can change a little bit year to year. And that's what I love about homeschooling, is being able to go along with their style and adapt to their needs. But I know, sometimes we can over-adapt and we can be adapting all the time, and that's not what I'm talking about here. Maybe I can do another video about that, but you know what I mean. Every year looking at my child, where are they at right now? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? What can we do to support any of those, if you know what I mean? For example, one of my main reasons for homeschooling was I wanted my kids to have a biblically based education. I wanted to be able to freely teach God's word in my home, for that to be the focus of what we do throughout the day. So I definitely pick, what are we doing for Bible every year? That has got to be a first. I also think about what are the tools that I'm using? And I'm not one where they have to all be Christian based. Like for math, for example, I use stuff for math and it's not necessarily a Christian based math because I know that all math is given of God and that it doesn't necessarily have to be, having scripture quotes in every lesson. I'm okay with that. But for our history and our language arts, I love to be reading things that do honor God and do bring biblical values and just pointing to God in everything that we read and do. So that is one thing that I do there when I think of curriculum to use. The other thing is, okay, yes, I'm Charlotte Mason based, and I have several videos if you want to learn more about Charlotte Mason basics or how Charlotte Mason am I. I loved doing that video, that was fun. Because I want to share, I'm not 100% or all in Charlotte Mason. Does that make sense? It is the basic, it's the foundation. Other than God's word, Charlotte Mason style is the foundation of what I do, but I don't do everything exactly as Charlotte Mason would have done. I'm not a purist, I guess you could say. One of the main things I love from the Charlotte Mason style is living books. That I am all in with. But I'll say this though, but it doesn't mean I don't use workbooks or textbooks. I use it sparingly. I'll say that. Sometimes I choose to use them for certain subjects that I think could use a little bit of help or has a very, very good, rich, well-done textbook or workbook. I will do that. So you'll notice when I explain some of the things my kids are using, you'll see I use workbooks like Explode the Code. I'm okay with that. But I love reading living books all day, not all day, every day. Every day, not all day. I do not have time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that, right? But especially for language arts and history, like I said, I love using just good books. There's so much good literature out there. And this is something I've been thinking of. If you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. So if you're choosing living books, then you've got time to do all the living books, and you may not have the time to do things that are in a textbook. Or if you choose a textbook, that's okay, that's great, but just know you're not going to have as much time. But sometimes, I'm just very careful with what I choose because of the time that each of these things are going to take. So I really did consider that this year. Okay, if I want to say yes to living books, I have to say no to, something else that may take extra time away from the living books than we want to use. So, okay, so there's that. All right, now let's think about my kids and what I'm doing for them each this year. So we'll start with my oldest. My oldest is 12 and she will be 13 in October. She will be going into technically 7th grade. I know in homeschool you don't have to worry so much about the grades, but it does help to have a baseline. She'll be going into 7th grade, and that's technically Form 3 now, I believe, for Charlotte Mason. She loves nature, so anything that has to do with animals or nature in general. She loves being outside. She loves art as well, and drawing, not just nature, but yeah, drawing in general. So if I can incorporate nature with things or some kind of drawing, then she's all in. She does enjoy reading, mostly fantasy style books though, but I'm trying to pull her out of that, not rut, but pull her into different styles and to be comfortable with trying something out of her comfort zone. This is the one thing that has changed a little bit. I had always kind of envisioned doing family style learning all along the way. I've been doing morning time with my kids since the beginning for the last 9 years, and I love it. We'll probably keep up with morning time, but my oldest is showing some desire for more independence in her work. I've tried, guys. I've tried sitting down next to her and trying to do stuff with her. She's constantly like, Mommy, I want to do it on my own. I got this, Mom. I want to do it on my own. So I'm learning, which is great. I didn't realize how much I wanted her to be independent, which I'm glad, but it is kind of a little sad. It's like, oh, my baby's growing up. She doesn't need Mommy anymore. I have thought of that, but she wants to be independent. So we do have several courses that I've decided to let her take that are video lesson based. And I send her to a local class as well for some language arts practicing. So I'm not hands-on with a lot of her subjects anymore, just with history, like we do, and read alouds. And yeah, morning time stuff, I guess. So whatever we do together, Bible and memory work, yeah. But that's it. She does all her other core subjects on her own. It's either going to be through a book that she's just reading or through a video lesson. I've decided to do more video lessons this year, and I'm okay with that. I didn't expect to go that route at this time in her education, but she's really enjoying it and actually doing really well. I just have to make sure I check in with her. I can't just like let her loose and be like, be free, my little one. But I really do. I have to check in and keep accountability on a weekly basis, because then she can get slacked off. She can slack off a little bit. And don't we all? When no one's checking up on us, we just want to slack off. Hopefully that's not just me or my daughter. It's probably some of you too. Anyway, so those are the things that I've considered for picking things with her. Speaking of my other boys and their style, my middle son, he is 10. He will be technically 5th grade, which is so crazy. He's getting big. He will be 5th grade, and which is Form 2 for Charlotte Mason. And my younger son will be almost 8, and he will be technically 3rd grade, and he's still in Form 1 is where I'm going to keep him. So everybody's kind of spread out this year, and I've been like, what do I do with this? How do I do it all together, or do I do them separate? That's the other thing I've been considering. How much school do I do all together with everybody, and how much do I let them do individually? And again, I always thought I would be the mom that would do everything together, but I'm realizing that's not the case. Like I said, my oldest is very independent. My youngest is also very independent. He loves it when I just hand him his stuff and he goes and he does it. The only subject I do with my youngest, actually, he's 2nd grade, is some of his grammar and his math. But his reading and some of his other workbooks, he does all on his own, and he's very self-motivated. So that's another one. My youngest likes the workbooks. I never thought, I don't know, he does really well with them. But I still want to make sure we incorporate, some one-on-one reading and discussing and stuff like I do in our morning time. But our morning time is going to just be shortened and not be the main focus of our days anymore. But my middle son, so he is the one who enjoys he enjoys being with people. So he loves morning time. He's not a big fan of workbooks, doesn't like writing in general. So I do a lot of the stuff alongside him, and he works with me, and he doesn't mind that. He loves that. So I know a lot of my time and energy is going to be going into working with my upcoming fifth grader. He and I get along well in a lot of the subjects, so we do them together. So some of these curriculum I'm going to pick for him are going to be things we can do together, or things that I can support him in as the year goes. Okay, so the other thing I want to share when it comes to picking our family career, where are we going? What are we doing this year? I go in cycles for history cycles, and somebody asked me, how do you know what cycle you're on? And that I kind of got that from, there's some Charlotte Mason curriculum out there that go in cycles. There is, like, we've used A Gentle Feast and Peaceful Press. They go in cycles. And then Ambleside Online has some cycles, and Classical Conversations, if you've heard of that or done that. That's where I kind of got it from. Classical Conversations breaks it up really nicely into 3 cycles: ancient history, Middle Ages, Renaissance history, and modern history, U.S. history. So they break it up into these 3 nice big chunks. Gentle Feast does it in 4, which I think seems a little bit better. But anyway, you get the point. So I basically just look at what did we do last year and what did we do the year before, and what have we not done yet? And I go along with that. So I kind of roughly go with the Classical Conversation cycles, bouncing between those 3 things. And then I say, okay, it's been a few years since we've done ancient history. We'll probably go back to ancient history again. A Gentle Feast does it really well, where you do mostly American history, and then you bounce back and forth between ancient history, or Roman, Greek, and the Middle Ages and Renaissance. So you'd kind of do both each year, which I think is cool too. So anyway, okay. So that's what it is about history cycles. Also, about me, I do not like being put in a box. I like being able to adapt things and do the books that I want to do. And sometimes I just get bored with things. And I decided this year I'm going to work with that instead of fight against it. So yes, I want to have discipline and make sure I finish what I start, yes. But I'm also with the thought of it's okay if that's my style. Maybe that's not you. Maybe you're grit your teeth, and whatever you start at the beginning, you go all the way through until you finish week 36 and then you're done. I don't work that way, and I'm okay with that. And maybe there's some of you who are more like me. I need a structure. I need to know, like, what is the overarching view? Where are we headed? What direction do I want to go this year, for our history and our science style? But I want to be able to have a flexibility within that structure. Love flexibility. So, for example, I bought A Gentle Feast plans, or even Peaceful Press's plans this year. And I follow it for probably 2 months pretty well. And then after that, it's just out the window. I'm not following it all anymore. And again, maybe that's a flaw in me. Maybe I need to stick with things. But again, I'm going to roll with it. So I am going to not go with a dedicated plan for our school for next year. But the details of it I haven't finalized yet. But I wanted to share with you here. I've considered, again, my strengths and my weaknesses. And I'm going to go with picking books that go along with a certain type of history era, which we haven't done in a while, and that's ancient history. But we also haven't done modern history. So I'm going to just go through some book lists and pick out some stuff, and we're going to read those books. And then if we get to the middle of the year and we want to read something a little different, I'm going to change it up, and I'm going to be okay with it. So that way I'm not investing in a big, gigantic plan that I ended up not using all the way through the year. Anyway, does that make sense? So, shh, don't tell the curriculum companies. Again, if you're asking me, oh, why aren't you using that this year? Why aren't you using this again this year? Like I said, I consider my strengths and my kids' strengths, and I go along with that. It doesn't mean that this curriculum is bad. Does that make sense? And I truly, truly, honestly believe there's no bad curriculum out there. There's just curriculum that better fits you and curriculum that doesn't fit you as well. And that's what you gotta discover and figure out. So my encouragement, if you're still looking like, how do I pick what is best for me right now? You gotta pray about it, ask the Lord, and then just pick something. Just pick something, because you're gonna have next year. Or maybe you do this for 6 months and then you try that other cool thing you wanted to try. Because I know, guys, there's so many cool things out there. So many. You could literally do, 3 years, you could want to do 3 years worth of homeschool in 1 year. But it's not going to happen. You got to keep it simple, and you got to scale back and just pick something and know that it's going to be good for this year or for right now. And that's what I've had to tell myself this year. I'll tell you guys that too. So pick something and then roll with it, because you can always change it later. There's always next year. And really, when we are spreading the feast for our kids, and that's the thing, I think we want to have fun with homeschooling. We want to enjoy it. And there's such a good feast to spread before our kids. And if we're excited about learning, they're going to be excited too. But this feast doesn't have to all happen in 1 year, friends. It doesn't have to all happen in 1 month. We've got several years, albeit it's 12 years or whatever. We've got an average of 12 years with our kids to do this with them. But even if they don't get all the things within those 12 years, hopefully we are raising lifelong learners, and there's still so much for them to learn and read and enjoy once they graduate high school. So that's what I'm hoping is, I'm realizing, okay, if we don't get to all the books this year, it's okay. We can get to them next year, or we can do them in the summer, or maybe our kids won't read them until they're adults. I've read some really great books in the last 15, 20 years, and they were never assigned to me in school. And I'm fine. I turned out okay. So hopefully that you remember that, at least hopefully that's your goal. I know that's what mine is to raise lifelong learners. And we can remember that and be at peace with knowing that what I pick right now is good for right now. And there's no perfect curriculum. It's not going to be just right or just perfect. So I applaud you if you have picked something this year and you have stuck with it. I really applaud you for that. And I am so excited for all of us to be able to pick good book lists, good curriculum, good arts and science and music and history and all those awesome things that we're going to teach our kids next year. I'm really excited what we're all going to pick. So if you are curious what I'm going to pick, I will be sharing more of that in some upcoming videos. Make sure you subscribe and like this video so you can get notified for when that video comes out. Also, if you want to let's start talking in the comments. What are some things that you do when you're trying to pick curriculum? And what are some things that you look for? And what are some things you don't want? Like, oh, I definitely don't want to, X, Y, Z. So let's start chatting about that in the comments. If you've got questions more about this, let me know in the comments as well. I really wanted to share a little more of what I was going to pick, but I don't want to make this video too long. So you're just going to have to come back later to find out more details of what I've picked. And I'm so excited to share with you guys. So yay! So I hope you guys know that you are a rock star at homeschooling mama, and go find his joy among the noise. See you in the next one.